Hello and welcome back to the Chessgate podcast, where I discuss media in the forms of reviews and topical-based discussions. I'm your host, Dragon King Thomas Hughes, and today I'm going to be continuing on what I did last week, which was obviously the top 10 most anticipated stuff. Obviously, I'm moving on this week to cover the top 10 media of 2024. So last week I did what I'm looking forward to the most in 2025. Obviously, I did video games, TV shows, and movies. And this week I'm going to be doing the exact same, but I'm focusing more on what came out last year instead of what's due to come out this year. And again, I'm going to be covering my 10 favourite games of 2024, 10 favourite TV shows of 2024, and my 10 favourite movies of 2024. And I'm going to be doing it the exact same way I did last week. So I'll do one section, then I'll take a quick break, and I'll jump into the next section, take a quick break, and then I'll do the final section from beginning to end with the outro. It's just easier that way. Last week, despite those breaks, my voice was starting to go. So I'm going to hope that my drink next to me stops that this week. So, yeah, obviously, without further ado, I'm going to get straight into the first list, which will be top 10 games. Well, specifically, my top 10 games of 2024. I had to rework a few of these because there's a couple of these that obviously, what's at the back end of this top 10 list are games that technically I haven't finished. I'm still currently playing, but give me one mic a second. But obviously, they do outweigh, for example, in my list of 16 games I've technically played in 2024. 17 if you count Star Wars Outlaws, but I've literally played like the opening mission. And I haven't even finished the opening mission. I had to stop because I had company, so I had to basically just stop playing. I haven't got around to actually playing any more of that. So, for example, obviously I got Suicide Squad Kill Justice League, which is a game I finished. But for me, it's not going to break into my top 10 because some of these games that I'm obviously into that's like for so many hours or like an hour or two, those games I have preferred to what I've actually played of Suicide Squad, which is almost like fucking like 10 hours, something stupid like that. So despite obviously playing that much of the game, I still prefer my little experience I've had with these other games, which is obviously why they're sort of at the back end. So the only one that's not in terms of games I've started and haven't finished yet, there's one that's like very high up on my list, but that's because I've actually played quite a few hours. But number 7 to number 10 are games I'm still playing, and obviously I'm just gonna slowly keep playing, and then once I've actually played them, I'll actually be able to confirm to myself at least if they're going to stay in that position or if they're going to move up, move down. Who knows? I'm looking at my list, and fucking most of it, everything from like number 7 down to number 16, apart from obviously Suicide Squad, I've literally marked up saying I'm still currently playing. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, half my games this year I still haven't fucking finished because I'm just like addicted to going back and playing old stuff, because obviously 2024 games, they just weren't out of this world spectacular for me. But yeah, so anyway, we're going to get straight into number 10 here. First game, obviously, I still haven't finished, which I do want to. It's just trying to find time for me and Hayden to then actually play it. And that is The Casting of Frank Stone, the Supermassive Games Dead by Daylight single-player game, which obviously is the first single-player entry in the Dead by Daylight universe. And obviously, it takes the gameplay mechanics from Supermassive Games' other games, like Until Dawn, The Quarry, and their Dark Pictures anthology games. So this game I was looking forward to reasonably amount. I'm pretty certain it was in my top 10 anticipated 2024 games at the start of 2024, and I was like, okay, I'm interested in this. Obviously, I'm not the massive Dead by Daylight fan. I don't fucking play it like heavily like some people do, but I've played enough of it to say, okay, it's decent. It's a reasonable game. It's just a game that obviously I'd prefer to play with my friends, and I think most of us do have it. It's just, again, find the time for everyone to sit down and actually play it or be asked to play it. So when they announced a single player game, I was interested. I was like, okay, I can actually finally sit down and play it. Obviously, it's technically co-op, because obviously you can do couch co-op on it, which is obviously what Hayden and I started to do and just haven't got around to actually doing it. But obviously what I've actually seen so far, the first part, it definitely captured that horror vibe. It definitely felt like I was playing, say, like obviously The Quarry, Until Dawn, etc., etc. So it's one of those ones where I definitely do want to carry on playing. Then again, to be fair, everything on my list, apart from maybe two games I'd say are ones that I really want to actually go back and try and finish. And as I said, this is definitely one because I love Supermassive Games. Their games I fucking absolutely enjoy. I find them entertaining, and this is another one that slots into that entertainment category. Maybe when I do eventually finish it, I might actually do a video when I rank all their games, because as I say, I've played all their games apart from that VR game they did. So maybe if I can manage to finish this before their next game comes out, I might fucking rank all their games up and from obviously Until Dawn all the way till The Casting of Frank Stone. Have to wait and see on that one. So number 9, sticking with the horror genre, is going to be Still Wakes the Deep. Again, another game where I played a chunk of the first section of it, but I just haven't got around to sitting down for the rest. Obviously, I played it on the Steam Deck. For some reason, there's a few issues on the Steam Deck when playing it. It's the only way I can actually sit down and put some hours into it. But it's just it's just a situation where I lack time to play it. It's the same with all these games. Unless I get fully addicted to it from the get-go, like a couple of games higher up in this list, it'll be a while before I get the enthusiasm really to sit down and play some more of it. But this is definitely one that I enjoyed what I saw. Just like Casting Frank Stone, the horror vibe is definitely there. It is fucking petrifying, like walking through these fucking dark areas and just being like, okay, there's something fucking going on here. I like the what's the word here? There's a film, and I'm pretty certain it's in the name of the film, but I can't think of the word. But I like obviously very clear like Cthulhu style fucking weirdness to it. If you can think of the word I'm trying to think of, just let me know. But yeah, I like that feel to it. I like the idea of basically you're stuck in the middle of nowhere. You're on this fucking oil rig, and there's generally no way off, really. And you've got to try and survive the monsters that have been created from them drilling into the ocean. Something cosmic, isn't it? Is it cosmic horror? Something like that is the word I'm after. Obviously you got that, and you kind of got like a bit of body horror in it, and it's one of those ones where it's a short game from what I've heard, but it's definitely from what I can tell, it's definitely worth sitting through to the end. And as I say, I'm going to try to at some point manage to crack through the rest of this, because it could go higher on my list. But at the moment, again, I haven't played the ones I've put kind of lower, obviously in the top 10. In terms of say like 9 and 10, and the ones that I haven't played too much of, but for example 8 and 7, which I haven't finished, but I put a bit more hours into. That's why they're kind of a bit more above these. So then obviously number 8 is going to be Dragon's Dogma 2. It's one that I picked up towards the end of 2024. I didn't get it when it first came out. I heard a lot about it when it first came out. I heard obviously some good things, I heard some bad things. And then I saw it was like on sale for like, I think it's like 25 quid. And I spoke to Connor, because I know Connor had played it, and I was like, is it any good? And he gave me a decent review on it, despite the fact that... oh no, it's not that one, it's a different game I'm thinking of. So yeah, obviously, it's like one of those ones where... I did, obviously, I think I remember 3, maybe 4 hours on it, something like that. I'm not very far into it, but I like the customization in it. I like... well, I'm going to be biased because I like fucking dragons. Obviously, it's been a while since I played, so I can't really remember too much about it. But obviously, I remember actually really enjoying what I saw. And there's quite an intriguing story that you're slowly... that you're a huge part of, since you're obviously technically the king. And there's just a lot of really cool stuff obviously involved, there's like a dragon's heart and stuff and things like that. And it's just like, okay, this is definitely getting me hooked. I mean, again, not biased because of dragons, but you get my point. So there's definitely a lot in there that is pretty cool, and as I say, I want to carry on cracking on with it. So number 7 is the last one really that I've played not too much of, and that is obviously Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Loved Luigi's Mansion 3 when that came out back in, was it like 2019 now? It was quite a while ago. I fucking loved that game. Never played any I think I played maybe the one that was on GameCube. Was that this one, or was that the one before? I know one I think actually this is the one that was on the 3DS, I think. So the one before that, the first one would have been the GameCube one. I remember playing a bit of that like, fucking back in the day. But obviously I never touched the second one. I just jumped straight into the third one. But when they announced the HD remaster for the Switch, I was like, okay, I'll pick it up. I like the third one. I'll probably enjoy this one. And again, I've enjoyed it. Obviously, it's a bit different. Some of the mechanics to the third one. Obviously, the ghost dog is pretty much... Is the ghost dog present heavily? Like, I don't know, I've seen the third one, the ghost dog is quite heavily present. Like, again, it's been a while since I fucking sat down and played Luigi Mansion. I think it was like middle of last year I fucking started playing it. And I got through the first, like, so many levels, but just... I need to find my fucking Switch charger, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I fucking can't remember where I put that. But when I find that, I'll actually be able to play it. But yeah, it's another one where obviously Luigi gets his time to shine, and I'm all for that. Fuck Mario, am I right? But I will say, I think what I like with the third one more than the second one would be the fact that obviously he's the hero in terms of obviously Mario and all that has been kidnapped by obviously King Boo and the ghosts, and now Luigi's got to man up and save them. Whereas this one, it's more the case of he gets dragged back into the ghost hunting, which I'm guessing... So obviously, I don't really know the plot of the first one, obviously, apart from him going after ghosts. Obviously, this one is him getting back into that fold again, thanks to the professor, who's giving him, obviously, these gadgets to go and, obviously, hunt down these ghosts. And so I don't know too much about the first one's plot to how it helps tie into the second one. But I say... Third one for me, still the better of obviously the ones I've played out of two, but I still think this is a really fun family game. And then number 6 is a game I actually finished like not last month, month before, I think November time maybe. I finished it with Alex, which was Chained Together. This obviously very basic in terms of what the game is, but I feel like the co-op aspect of it, the fact that if one person is shit, it kind of fucks everything up. I think that just helps this game be actually really entertaining for me. I mean, the plot is... I mean, there's barely a plot there. It's just the case of you want to escape hell and get to heaven. And you kind of obviously have to go through all these different levels. Obviously, there's a single player side of the game, but I feel like that's just shit, if I'm going to be honest with you. Because the whole point of the game is literally chained together. And I remember saying to Alex when we was playing it, because I remember I think he's got disconnected from my game, and it just made me go solo. And I was speaking to him about the fact that it's just you walking around with the chain around your waist, and that's it. And it's just like, well, that'd be too easy, I think, because you can literally fucking not worry about the fact that if this person falls off behind me, boom, that's it, I'm gone, or I'm gonna have to keep running to try and hold them up until they can manage to climb back up. Like, I feel like the single player aspect is just crap for a game like this, whereas when you actually have the co-op aspect, it works really well. I see Alex and I had a lot of fun playing this together, and I definitely would be interested in playing it with more people, because I feel like the more people you get, the more chaotic it is, because, as I say, you can have a mixed bag of how well people can play this game, because I played it, okay enough, I think. I think me and Alex had okay enough of it. Yeah, we had a few moments where we're, like, goddamn awful, but we had a lot of moments where we did really well, and plus, then there's a lot of moments where we just got lucky with situations. It's one of those games where we both had mixed level of skills, and obviously I felt like thanks to Human Fall Flat, the parkour element wasn't as tricky. Yeah, there's quite a few moments where we fucked up heavily, but when you get past them, there's a really fun game there, with a lot of humour in terms of just the players fucking up. Which, as I say, I feel like that's why I'm putting this quite high, is because I just had a lot of fun with the game in general, despite the fact it's just a basic. You got to climb. I didn't mind that. I can look past that because I had a fun time. Talking of fun times, number 5 is going to be Content Warning, a game that I got for free when it came out, because the obviously creators of the game, but I think it was like for 24 hours or something stupid like that. They made the game free on launch, just to try and see if they can get people playing it. And obviously I've sat down and played it with Connor, I played it with Hayden, I played it with Alex, and it's a fun game. I feel like if you like these games like Phasmophobia, A Day Out, there's another one there. You like those type of games? These games where it's, you just trying to, obviously it's a horror comedy game essentially. There's moments that are just stupid within it that can be stupid essentially, but then there's a lot of moments that can be really fucking scary. I say Phasmophobia can have moments when you can roll your eyes and go, "Fuck's sake, that's dumb." But at the same time, there can be a lot of moments that fucking petrify you. Same goes for Day Out, and this is like no exception. I feel like the more people you have, again, the more funny it is. I like the idea as well with this game, the fact that you're just content creators. You're going into this mind system to film scary and stupid shit, and the more scary and the more stupid shit you film, the more subscribers you get, and obviously you got your limit of what you need to get by the third day before it rolls onto the next lot, and it just keeps getting more and more. Lethal Company is another one I was thinking of them when I was thinking of these sort of horror comedy type games. I do like the fact as well you can save the clips you record. That's pretty good to me, because I've got a few that we did that were just fucking stupid shit was going on, and then, as I say, the scariest fucking moments were happening, and it just all combined to such a good time. So when I played the game with Hayden and Connor around my birthday last year, we had a lot of fun. That was when the game pretty much launched. And then when I played it not so long ago with Alex, obviously we had some issues with a glitch that kind of broke the game. But other than that, again, there was some generally funny and generally scary moments in it. And I do like how, I say, when I first played it to when I recently played it, I like how they've updated the game a lot. I like there's a lot more content. No pun intended there, because it's game content warning. I like there's a lot more content in this game than it was when it first came out. And for me, I felt like that's what helps drive this a bit higher up in the list. And so it's just a goofy game that's scary at points. So I'm gonna go as number 5 is reasonable for me. And number 4 then is gonna be Funko Fusion. And I know it's a game that got quite mixed reviews when it came out, but I'm going high with this because I spoke about it in the podcast before, and I spoke about it on the one-shot video I did when I played the Invincible and Jaws level recently. Obviously, I spoke about how much I got addicted to this game when it came out. Obviously, it's the same people who made Lego games, or at least like so many people who made the Lego games. So you do get that vibe of Lego games in terms of the goofy take on the what the source material is the word I'm after there. Obviously, the goofy take on the source material. So you definitely feel the Lego vibe there, but you can also feel the fact that this one isn't a kid's game like them. Obviously, the age rating, I think, is like a 16 on this one. And you can see that by, obviously, the choices of the IP they've gone with, i.e. Jaws, Shaun the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The Thing, Megan, Chucky. Like, seeing stuff like that, you straight away go, okay, this is not a kid's game. These are movies and TV shows that are definitely aimed more for adults. Yes, there are some ones that you can say a bit slightly more family friendly. You know, your Master Universe in there, so you can kind of say like that's a bit more family friendly. Back to the Future, but obviously that is there mainly just for the fact that it's obviously the game is a Universal game, so they've kind of got to get all the Universal properties they can to make this. And for me, like this is kind of what the Lego Horizons game should have been. Instead of being focused on Lego Horizons, it probably should have been like, I think I said this, Connor, it should have been like a Lego PlayStation game, and it should have had the same sort of rough idea as this in terms of these different levels based on different PlayStation IPs. And I think that's why I like this. I like the different levels. They're short, they're sweet, and it's just a fun game to play. As I said, I did a whole podcast when I brought this up. I think I did the Frank Stone one in the same podcast. But I say I did the missions recently on the game for the channel, and as I said, I expressed how much I actually really enjoyed it. And I feel like because of how addicted I got, that's why I kind of have to put this quite high, because I got massively addicted to it when it first came out, and I just could not put it down. I think I've recently uninstalled it just because I needed the space. What game did I install? I installed something recently, and I said I needed the fucking space for it. I think, was it? No, it wasn't that. Or was it? No, I can't remember. I definitely uninstalled it for some. I swear I installed it for some reason. It was because my brain just can't remember what I uninstalled it for. I think I remember it at some point. I think it might have been a fucking game that was on Game Pass. I just can't remember what. But yeah, so for a game that I fucking just could not put down, I feel like I have to put it quite high. So number 3 is going to be WWE 2K24, a game that technically, up until December, was my game of the year. Obviously, this game came out back in March, I think it was, 2024, and up until December 2024, it was my game of the year. Nothing came anywhere close. I know I fucking got addicted to Fun Confusion and really enjoyed it, but it still didn't touch WWE 2K24 for me. I feel like it was the best WWE game to date in terms of since they've relaunched following that disaster of 2K20. Obviously, there's just a lot to love about. I love these stories in it. Once again, obviously the campaign mode in it. There's a lot of really cool, obviously character creation stuff in there, and it's a game that I absolutely enjoyed. I've fucking put hundreds of hours into it. I use it for obviously the FEW content. So there's what you see in that is probably what helps me go, okay, I love this game even more because there's these elements here that help me craft shows from recording footage from this game, and it's just easily the best one that they've done to date, and it pisses me off that EA fucking FIFA, not FIFA. There's the EA Sports now, whatever it's fucking called. Won the game of the sports game in the Game Awards. It did not deserve it. That game is trash. This deserved to be the first WWE game to, off my knowledge, to win the Game of the Year award for sports game. Oh, it proper pissed me off when it lost to that piece of shit of a game. Because this is it's a fun game that, as I say, there's a lot of stuff that they added into this one which wasn't present in previous ones, like the casket match, the ambulance match. I'm pretty certain this one introduced the gauntlet matches, so there's a lot of really cool stuff in it. Yes, there's a few things I didn't like. I think this is the one where obviously cage matches, instead of when you simulated the last cage matches, I swear the camera used to be inside the ring, but for now, this time around, it just zooms all the way out, so you've got the fucking cage in the way and just takes you out of it when you're trying to record content for it. So, there's a few tweaks that I didn't like, but overall, it was a pretty fucking solid game, and it's like the first one that's actually playable on the fucking Steam Deck, which is even better. So number 2 for me is a game, again, this is one I mentioned earlier that I haven't actually finished, but I've put enough hours into it more than the other ones to say, yeah, it's going high. And that's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That was it. That's what I uninstalled Fun Confusion for. It was for this game. I think I'm in the Italy section of the game, so it's still very early in the game, but what I've played of it, it's so good. The graphics are good. The stealth's good. I love the fact that you can just pick up like frying pans and walk behind them and clunk them on the head. It's just satisfying as hell. I smashed him over the head with like a broom, and it just fucking caused him to crash for a table, which was like just destructive but excellent at the same time. Obviously, Troy Baker's impression of Harrison Ford is impeccable. It's so fucking good. Obviously, it's got a really good score over the top of it. It generally makes you feel like you're watching an Indiana Jones movie. It's just absolutely perfect, and I would like to see it get nominated for next year's Game of the Year award, because obviously it kind of came out at the point where it couldn't get nominated for this year, but there's that much competition for next year. It's going to be a struggle. I feel like Troy Baker's definitely going to get nominated for Best Actor. It's just going to be a struggle trying to get this game with some of the... As long as, especially if these other games come out and aren't disasters, i.e. GTA 6, Ghost of Yokai, what else? Split Fiction. Fuck, there's quite a few games that come out obviously this year. If they come out and are disasters, then Indiana Jones might have a chance. If not, then it's going to be fighting for a nomination. I feel like it deserves a nomination because, as I say, it was outstanding. It was a good way of taking IP that hasn't really hit as well with fans for a while. Because realistically, the last two Indiana Jones movies with fans haven't really been massive successes. I think like the closest Indiana Jones got to really decent success probably would have been the Lego games, particularly the first one, from what I can tell. The second one got very mixed response, but you know, it shows that maybe we can take IPs of films that aren't really hitting as hard anymore, or TV shows that aren't hitting as well, and turn them into games. And if you get the right people behind it, which this time they had, obviously they got Bethesda, particularly obviously like Todd Howard and all that, and well, when I say particularly, I mean isn't this the one that's the ones who did Wolfenstein? So obviously they got the right team behind it to craft an actual decent game. So I'm very happy they managed to do that. Then number one for me is, I'm gonna put this in number one because I've actually finished it and fucking loved it. It was just like Funko Fusion. I got addicted to it very quickly and just couldn't put it down. And that's Astrobot. It's a really great celebration of PlayStation's anniversary. The fact that they used all the characters, obviously, throughout PlayStation that has made PlayStation. A little mouthful there. The fact they use them perfectly into this story is so good. I mean, the final mission is just a straight up PlayStation jerk off for the fact that it's just, you know, every PlayStation console available is here for the big fight against this alien. But I feel like, for the fact it's very clearly like a Mario inspired type game, for the fact it's what's the word Connor used? Platforming. It's a platforming game. So it's very inspired by Mario. I think it does that perfectly. I never played the Astrobot game that was on the PlayStation 5's, basically that was pre-installed to PlayStation 5. I've never played that one, but I kind of want to now, because I said this one was really well done. I know it's a completely different game. I know that was more of just showing off the fucking, you know, haptic feedback on your controller, which is basically what this is doing as well. It's utilizing the technology and going, okay, what if we made a game that actually got to show that technology properly off? Like you could wave your controller around to do stuff. You can blow on your controller. What if we had a game that could do that? And that's what Astrobot is. It's not only a game that just showcases the technology available for PlayStation 5, but it also is a game that's celebrating PlayStation's anniversary and paying homage to the past, present, and future of basically PlayStation games. So it's just a really fun game. I liked as well the fact that they gave you 2 free DLCs as well. They gave you the base game, which when you finished it, you could have 2 free DLCs. One was like a time trial situation, which got me very annoyed. That and the challenge modes in the base game just fucking pissed me off how frustrating they could be sometimes. Obviously you got that, and then obviously the second DLC was more just you kind of running around just collecting shit, which is basically the base game in general, but it's just a way of allowing you to collect PlayStation characters that weren't in the base game, i.e. Spider-Man, the Helldivers, I think Worms was in the winter DLC, but you get my drift. It's just a way of basically having and adding, more characters to this game, because as I say, you got the basic Astrobots, and then you got the cameo Astrobots, which are the ones you're there for. But yeah, I platinumed it. I fucking collected everything in the game. I've got all the Astrobots collected. I got all the outfits collected, and I just love running around the base camp and seeing all these Astrobots, obviously doing stuff like their characters are in the game. So like the God of War section when they're all just doing random shit, the Uncharted section, the Resident Evil section, the Ghost of Tsushima little area, Ratchet and Clank, Castlevania, Devil May Cry, the Metal Gear Solid little section, which is pretty cool. And I like the fact that they're not all just Astrobots. Like you got Spyro, he's there, and he's not a bot. He's generally just Spyro. So that's pretty cool to me. It's just a good celebration of PlayStation technology, and just a great celebration of a great way to celebrate PlayStation's anniversary. So it has to be number one for me. It's a really good game, and I'm happy I paid that fucking, was it in the end? Was it like £5? I think I paid for it because I had like a voucher that just took it down from £4, sorry. I had a voucher that took it down from like £54 to £4, which was great. One bonus of working my ass off at work every fucking week. You get a fucking £50 voucher at the end of it, and it gets your Astrobot. So yeah, obviously once again I'll have a quick run through here. Obviously number 10, Casting Frank Stone. Number 9, Still Wakes the Deep. Number 8, Dragon's Dogma 2. Number 7, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Number 6, Chained Together. Number 5, Content Warning. Number 4, Funko Fusion. Number 3, WWE 2K24. Number 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And number 1, Astrobot. I say there's plenty of games that I still would like to add to this list. I say Star Wars Outlaws I'm starting to play some more of. I've been sitting on Life is Strange Double Exposure since it came out. I brought it at launch. Fucking never touched it. I do want to get that Quiet Place Days Ahead game. And what was that other game I wanted to fucking play? Oh, Helldivers 2. Obviously, I brought that over Christmas to play with Connor. Just haven't sat down yet to play with it. So there's plenty of games that have the opportunity to break into that top 10 and take stuff out of it. But for now, that is my top 10. Before, as I say, I play any more games or touch any of these other ones. Looking at this list, I think the one game that was a disappointment for me, which was a shame because I fucking was looking forward to it. I'm looking at Rise of the Ronin. Like, it wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't the game it wasn't what I was hoping, really, in terms of enjoyment to get out of it. It just didn't hit the same way as I thought it was going to. Yeah, obviously I'm going to take a quick break now, and then I'm going to jump into my top 10 TV shows. So let's get straight into that shortly. Right, straight into our second list then. Top 10 TV shows of 2024. I'm looking at this, because obviously, what's number 11? And obviously, number 11 on my list is the last one I've given like a 10 out of 10 for this year. But I'm going to put number 11 above number 10 for now, because what was number 10 at the moment is the Penguin Series 1. And I've only watched one or two episodes of this show. Pretty soon just one episode, so I can't go any higher than I'm planning to. Obviously, that episode was outstanding, which is why is it a 10 out of 10 at the moment. But because I watched the entirety of what's at number 11, that's just going to jump it at the moment. But everything else in this top 10, unlike the gaming ones, I've actually fucking watched entirely. There's no episodes I've missed. Sorry. The two that I was worried about not actually finishing, I finished over the new year, so that's great. So we're going to get straight into this list then. So number 10 then is going to be Echo Series 1, the Marvel series that dropped in its entirety, I think it was, if I remember correctly, at the start of January 2024. Obviously, it was a continuation from the Hawkeye series, and it was exactly what I thought it'd be. It was this, more action-focused, more darker toned series than Marvel had done before this, because I think this was like their introduction to the idea of, okay, we can go a bit more, violent, because there's definitely some violent fight scenes in this show, and this is kind of like, I feel like it was them testing the water before Daredevil Born Again drops this year. So it was in my opinion, it was a good test, because I said the show was great. It's as good as Hawkeye. It's a good way of inclusion as well, for the fact that I said the main character you're focusing on is obviously Death, and obviously she is indigenous, obviously, and it focuses heavily on her family and stuff and situations like that, and her growing up with the Kingpin. So it's another good way of bringing him back into it, following his cameo in at the end of Hawkeye. Obviously, because this time it fully pushes him towards being the villain very early on. And I would say we're finally getting to see a bit more of this family dynamic, because we only got to see it briefly in Hawkeye, so it's cool that we actually got to see it more heavily here. So I said the flashbacks between her and Kingpin when obviously she was younger, and then obviously the interactions when they're older, following the fact that I say she almost killed him in Hawkeye. So it's just a really good series, and I say it's a good way to kick off 2024 in Marvel, because I said they followed this up with obviously, in TV show wise, you had Agatha Long and you had What If, two good shows in their own right, and then movie wise they followed up with obviously Deadpool and Wolverine, which was an excellent movie. It's just a shame Sony couldn't get as good quality, apart from probably the last Venom movie, as Marvel did with, I can't remember, they actually referred to this series under a new banner. I just can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but it was their way of, I think if I remember correctly, it was their way of doing more essentially R-rated content for Disney Plus. I just can't remember off the top of my head what it was referred to as. So then number 9 is going to be The Boys Series 4, so sticking with the superhero genre. Obviously this is the last but one series for The Boys. This obviously continues on from the last series, but also incorporates elements from the Gen V Series 1. And of course, this series is here now to set up the final series of The Boys, while also technically setting up some plot elements that we'll see within Gen V Series 2, which I believe is dropping this year. So it was obviously it's a good continuation, a good setup series, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of violence as always with The Boys. There's a lot of moments that are just very extreme. Obviously, I think this one got the worst reviews out of all The Boys series so far, but I don't see a problem with this series. It was exactly what I wanted from this show. It was gory, it was brutal. The comedy was there, and it did exactly what I wanted to do, which was, follow on and explain some stuff that obviously happened in the previous season. Obviously, happened in the previous seasons in terms of The Boys and Gen V, and it also gave me more questions heading into the final series and that second series of the spin-off. So it just did exactly what I wanted it to. The cast as always are perfect, and obviously now we're getting to the point where obviously Butch is going a bit more darker in terms of the fact that he has some really dark powers behind him, trying to make him finally get and kill Homelander, which is pretty fucking cool. Now, number 8 technically is an incomplete series, but I'm counting this as part 1 and part 2, just like how I will count part 3 technically as like its own sort of thing this year, and that is going to be Cobra Kai Series 6. So that's part 1 and part 2. Part 1 dropped in, I want to say, June time, and then part 2 dropped. When did part 2 drop? Was it October, November time? I just can't remember the exact dates. But yeah, obviously, just like unlike the Boys, which is setting up for its final series, obviously Cobra Kai Series 6 is obviously the final part of the hit Netflix series. And before, obviously, we did the Karate Kid movie in May. I think that one comes out. So obviously, they're kind of obviously having to go and tell the last part of this story now. And obviously where we got to in the last series. Yeah, in the last series, yeah, it was. Obviously, we got left off with the plot of them going to this tournament in Barcelona. And this series follows them, obviously, competing in said tournament. And obviously, once again, going through these struggles of moments where they're technically shit and then moments where they're actually really good, and trying to come together as a team to climb this ranking, because of course they're going up against obviously the best in the world, and obviously one of the teams of course is a newly revived Cobra Kai, led by obviously Kreese, who's out of prison. There's a lot of elements in there as well involving Silver, so there's a lot of bad guys in this show to give Danny and Johnny and obviously their kids a lot of problems. And as I said, they're both, I'm annoyed that they split it into 3 parts. I wish they just gave it all at once, or at least I would take a 2-part split, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'd take having a few more episodes in the first part and then a few more in the second half, rather than this 3-part split. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy the 3-part split, because it actually gives me time to watch them, because I think they did it in like 5 6 episodes splits, I think it was. So it actually gives me time to sit through these episodes and binge them, rather than obviously having to slowly crack through like a 10 or 12 episode series. I can't remember exactly the length of it. It gives me a bit more opportunity to sit through it. And on top of that, the points where they left it off at, obviously the end of part 1 and the end of part 2, are huge cliffhangers to draw you back into the next part. Because as I said, the cliffhanger at the end of part 2 is just wow. And I'm definitely jumping at part 3 dropping in February. I think it is. I think that's February, yeah. So I can't wait to actually sit through and watch that last part, because if this is done right, it'll go out of a bang, and I'm happy for that, because it gives you closure for this show, while also making go, okay, I'm into like this karate stuff. Let's like jump in at the Karate Kid movie that comes out in a few months, and hopefully then they spin off a few more, if that does well enough, because I'm happy that this was like success enough to bring back this franchise, basically. And so far, 6 seasons in, and it's not missed a beat. It's fucking absolutely perfect. So then number 7, I almost went to number 4 then. Number 7 is Has Been Hotel, another show that dropped very early this year, and I think this one was 2 episodes a week. Of course, this is based on the YouTube pilot, and the same, obviously, creator as the Helluva Boss show. A show that I got very into after watching this, because obviously I kept getting told, if you liked Has Been Hotel, you like Helluva Boss, and I pretty much binge watched the entire show since I was told that, and I've absolutely enjoyed that show, and I've absolutely enjoyed this show. The music's perfect, the story's excellent, the comedy is hilarious. There's even a bit of gore sprinkled in there at times, which, everything just ticks every box for me. It was a perfect show. I'm not the biggest musical fan, but this for me was a great musical series, and I cannot wait to see series 2. Heck, I've been rewatching series 1 because I just loved it that much. It's just a shame that there's so much else that came out this year that just blew me away just a little bit more than this, including what's number 6, which is of course Arcane Series 2, the final entry in the Arcane duology, essentially, because it was the first 2 seasons, because now they're more focused on possibly spin-offs instead. So this wrapped up the story that was set from the first one. So it rounds that out nicely, that it also sets up the possibility of more coming down the line. This season in general, I mean, visually, Arcane is just stunning. It looks so good. The music over the top of it is perfect. The action is outstanding. I mean, it's pretty much... when I was watching it, I kind of saw the formula, what they was going with, which was obviously bit of story throughout, and then a huge chunk of action right at the end to wrap you out. And of course, then there's a little setup then for the next episode, and it pretty much did that throughout until that last episode. The last episode pretty much was just action from the get-go, which was just absolutely a perfect way to end this show. Characters are great to watch, and as I said, the story is it draws you in, and I just couldn't put it down, which is surprising because obviously I never really played League of Legends, don't really know too much about it, but that first series was highly addictive for me. I did watch it when it first came out, but when I finally sat down and watched it, I really enjoyed it. So I jumped at the gun when Series 2 came out, and I think I binge watched it over a weekend, I think it was, or over 2 weekends at least. Because I think it was over 2 weekends I binge watched it. Because I was just trying to cram it in, and when I finally did finish watching it, I was just like, pretty fucking damn good. I could literally do an entire podcast talking about it, and maybe at some point I will. Maybe I'll get Alex to jump on because of it being animation. Anyway, moving on. So number 5 is going to be Only Murders in the Building Series 4. This one, again, Only Murders in the Building for me is always within my top 5 shows of a year. It's always hilarious. Obviously, I don't know how far they can go until the point it gets stale, but fucking keep milking it until that point. Because it's just fucking hilarious. I love seeing these 3 characters, obviously Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, trying to solve a murder, despite the fact that, technically speaking, they're not cops, they're just podcasters. I fucking love that. I think that's a good plot. There's always a lot of twists and turns throughout, and I like with this one, it goes to Hollywood. There's a movie being made about them. There's obviously people playing them, which is fucking hilarious. Obviously, Paul Rudd comes back as a different character. So fucking good. There's just so much to like about this, and on top of that, then we've got this essentially a character who's been with us since the get-go, getting killed to set up Series 5, which I'm hoping drops this year. I did put it in my most anticipated, so I'm fucking hoping it drops this year. To be fair, so far they've pretty much been coming out each year, and they've been a hit every year. So if it does, you're more likely going to see Series 5 in the top 5 again in 2025. So number 4 is going to be What We Do in the Shadows Series 6, the final series of the beloved mockumentary. Again, this is another show that, obviously, I watched the film when it first came out, and it was hilarious. But when they adapted to TV, they did such a better job with it, I think. Don't get me wrong, I love the film. I think the film is hilarious, but I feel like they did a better job with the TV show than they did with the movie. There's just a lot more to like about these characters. Matt Berry's fucking hilarious, which is why he's obviously nabbed a vote for the, obviously, Golden Cave Awards this year. He's so good in it, and this season for me is a good send-off show. There's some really good episodes in here, and the ending is a very unique way to end the show. Because to be honest, I didn't really think to myself how they're going to end this, but the way they did was a strange ending, but it worked. It suited this show entirely, and it's one of those things where I'm annoyed that they're not doing anymore, but at the same time, I'm happy they're stopping, because if it gets to a point where it starts getting stale, then you kind of ruin this show's legacy, which is what I'm hoping Only Murders in the Building kicks in at some point when they realise, okay, don't go too much. There's only so much you can do with this. But yeah, I think my favourite episode probably of this series has got to be the Warriors-inspired episode. That was fucking hilarious. Yeah. Okay, then number 3 is going to be My Hero Academia Series 7. Again, this is another Last But One series. And it's a good setup for what's to come in the finale. I don't know where this is going in the finale exactly. I know there's people hated on the ending of the manga, but I'm gonna not focus on that at the moment. I'm gonna focus on how much I love Series 7, because it is fucking good. The emotion is there, the action is there, the animation as always is fucking spot on. It's one of those ones where it's easily the best My Hero Academia series to date. There's some really good fight scenes in this one. I mean, the Deku versus Shigaraki fight is so fucking well done when he's fucking doing the gear shifting and just fucking pummeling him. It's fucking so good. And I like with this series as well, it gives a lot of characters time to shine that haven't really had their time yet. I mean, there's the octopus guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Obviously he gets some time to shine, which he never really has up to this point, which is great. He's finally getting his moment. Same goes for the one that can speak to animals. Obviously the Invisible Girl, she got a moment as well. I'm just naming their powers. It's just easy enough to do that than trying to remember their names for some of them. So I like that this show gives some of these characters that haven't really had a starring moment or a moment to really delve deep into who they are. I like that they finally gave them a moment, and it was like big pivotal moments as well. So plus Present Mike is, for me now, just a fucking badass. The one scene with him in this is just so good, and as I cannot wait for the next series, especially how Series 6 ended. That final act, the final act and final battle with obviously All Might and All For One. I was just like, yep, give me Series 7 right now, please. I fucking want to see this right now. I will settle though for the movies. Please hurry up and drop it on Crunchyroll. I didn't get to watch it in cinema last year, so please drop that, and I will settle for that until the series drops. So number 2, this was a tricky one. Then for number 2, this was either going to be number 1 or number 2, but I went with number 2 because number 1 was a show I recently finished and it was amazing. So number 2 is going to be Fallout Series 1, the Amazon Prime adaptation of the hit Bethesda video game. So this was created, of course, by the same creators as Westworld, Jonathan Nolan, the brother Christopher Nolan, and I loved Westworld. Obviously, it got to a point towards the end where it started dropping off, but this captures peak Westworld for me. Like, this captures like first 2 season Westworld. It's just really well crafted. Special effects are good. The digital effects, obviously, the practical effects are really good. The characters are really likable. Walter Goggins as a Ghoul is outstanding. He's just so fucking brutal at times. I mean, I could literally just have an entire show following his character. It was so good. I like the mystery angle to this show as well. There's definitely a lot of mystery that is yet to be fully delved into properly, and that's why I'm heavily looking forward to when they drop Series 2, which I'm guessing is going to be 2026. I can't see it being this year. It's just another win for video game adaptations. One of, well, 2 big wins really that came out in 2024. So I'm very happy that this was as fucking perfect as I hoped it would be. I mean, it drew me back into wanting to play Fallout again, and I played a bit of it. I just never got around to actually playing more of it. Sums me up with gaming this year. Start it, never fucking finish it. But yeah, it definitely drew me back into fucking sitting through and trying to play some more Fallout 4. So, I mean, that's always a good thing. If it's like something based on like a game or whatnot, or like a TV show or something. If like any adaptation is based on something that you can play, read, watch again, if that draws you back into it, then it shows you there's a good chance that what you saw hypes you up enough to go back to that. But at the same time, you could also say if it was bad, it's still that badness made you go, oh, fuck it, I want to wash my eyes out with something that's good. But in this case, it's one of those situations where it was that good, it drew me back into this world and wanted to see more of it. Again, number 1 is Shogun Series 1, the adaptation of the book. So it came out on Disney Plus weekly. It started in February, I think it was 2024. I pretty much watched like the first 5, I think it was. So I kept up with it up to episode 5, but then I missed one episode, and in my true fashion of TV shows, I miss one, I miss like the next fucking how many. In this case, it was like 6. Eat my own hair here currently. There we go. I missed like 6, so I never got around to catching up. So I was just sat on these episodes for months and months and months, and then came over the time between Christmas and New Year, and I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna finally sit down and watch it. And I binge watched it over a couple of days, what was left, and it was really well done. I mean, obviously, thanks to Ghost of Tsushima, I got hooked into like this sort of era of Japanese culture, like samurais and shoguns and stuff like that. So when I saw this got announced, I was like, okay, I'm already hyped for this. This could be good if it's done well, and to me, it's done well. I mean, for the fact that it has won so many countless awards, it's been nominated for countless awards as well. That shows how well this show is actually done. Like it definitely feels very authentic. I know some people bigged it up as possibly like the next Game of Thrones surrogate, but I don't see it as that. It's not Game of Thrones. It's its own sort of thing, and I'm happy about that. I don't understand why they market it as a limited series, because it very clearly ends setting up more. And I mean, they did announce, I think, was it during or was it just after that we're going to do more, like 2 more seasons. It's just like, why the hell do you market it then as a limited series? It very clearly isn't a limited series if you're clearly building up for 2 more entries. Because you very clearly left it at a point where I'm like, okay, I need to see where this is going. Fucking show me more. And I'm very happy they are showing more, because it's really well crafted. If you're not into slow building stuff, then you won't be into this. But it worked for me. The slow building definitely helped set the stakes of what's to come. The acting is phenomenal. I like the fact that it is fully in Japanese and it's subtitled. The only time it's in English is when you're hearing like the Portuguese speaking English, or you're hearing the one English guy that's literally with them. The character called Blackheart. Like the only time you're hearing English is from him, and he's trying to learn Japanese to actually communicate with a lot of these characters. Obviously, the only other character as well is his translator, who can she can speak both English and Japanese. So I like the fact that they kept it actually in Japanese, and not just in the American thing of just make the whole thing in English and be like, oh, they are speaking Japanese. It's just to your ears, it sounds English. I'm happy they didn't do that. I'm happy they actually stuck to the actual language and made it a subtitled show. For me, that helped me get immersed in it even more. Yes, it meant my brain had to try and read more, but I'm okay with that, because as I say, it felt authentic, and it drew me in. And some of those scenes, obviously, some of the little battles they have throughout, obviously, both brutal and well choreographed. I mean, I think it was the last but one episode when they're trying to like leave this fucking this castle, and she sends like this fucking samurai and he just one shots like a bunch of people, and there's like this little tiny battle going on with fucking archers raining down, people getting those like heads cut off and shit. There's just a lot. I mean, the beheadings in this show are fucking really well done. As I say, it feels authentic, and it definitely draws you in heavily, despite its very slow pace. But I think because people probably expected it to be like one where there's a lot of fucking action, and it's not a lot of action. It's a lot of story more than action, and I'm okay with that as long as the story is good, which in this case it is. I'm okay with sacrificing a bit of action for some story. I feel like, as I say, it was a struggle between this and Fallout. If I didn't finish Shogun over Christmas, Fallout would have been number one, but because I finished it, that one takes the number one spot. So, yeah, again, I'll have a quick run through it. So number 10 is going to be Echo Series 1, number 9, The Boys Series 4, number 8, Cobra Kai Series 6 Part 1 and 2, number 7, Hazbin Hotel Series 1, number 6, Arcane Series 2, number 5, Animes and Building Series 4, number 4, What Was in the Shadows Series 6, number 3, My Hero Academia Series 7, number 2, Fallout Series 1, and number 1, Shogun Series 1. I say there's a lot on here. I mean, I've watched, according to this, I've watched like 39 different TV shows this year. There's a bunch that I still haven't finished, but I mean, fucking 39 is a lot of TV shows to fucking get through throughout a year. So there's definitely some that could have easily been in this top 10. I say The Penguin would have been there if I actually finished it. Kaiju number 8 had a good share of being in there. Ted Series 1, hilarious. That could have easily been in there. And so there's a bunch of them here that could have easily been my top 10. But for now, again, that is my top 10. I say Echo and Penguin might change once I actually finish Penguin. But for now, I'll stick that just above that. And yeah, so that's my top 10 TV shows of 2024. And then we're going to move in swiftly into our last section, which of course is the top 10 movies. Okay, last part then, my top 10 movies of 2024. Unlike the other ones which I was working off a document on my computer, my movies are currently on my phone. So if I look down, it's because I'm looking at my list on my phone. Because obviously, using Letterboxd, I can see easier a top 10 list. And according to my list, I've seen 73 movies in 2024, which is range in qualities from being absolute dog shit to being absolute perfect. There's plenty of ones, again, just like the TV shows and games that probably could have easily fit into this list. I mean, Wild Robot was momentarily in this list, but just got knocked out last night by a film I recently watched. Them. I mean, Alien, Romulus, Twisters, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Terrifier 3, Bad Boys Ride or Die, Fall Guy, Godzilla X Kong. Just to name a fucking few that could have easily pushed into this top 10, but this is the one I'm locking in right now. So number 10, is my most recent watch, is going to be The Iron Claw, film that dropped here in the UK in February. Was meant to watch it when it first came out. Obviously, some stuff went down, so I never actually got a chance to go watch it. Got it when it came available digitally. Sat on it for ages, never fucking watched it. Brought the Blu-ray, sat on it for ages, didn't fucking watch it. But then I was like, fuck it, if I'm going to do this video, I need to see if that's going to be my top 10. And it just about goes in. The only reason it won't go higher is because I know there's a lot of historical inaccuracies in this movie, despite the fact that it's obviously marketed as a true story. And that god-awful Ric Flair performance. Whoever, I don't know why they didn't dub in the woos, because that guy's woos are just so fucking bad. But as an overall film, it's really well crafted. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, it's a really heartbreaking film to watch. Seeing this family go through tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, as obviously one by one they keep dying, either obviously medically or by suicide. Which is it's a really dark film to watch, and it's definitely one of those tearjerker ones, especially when it gets later into the film, when you get into these numbers. Obviously, when the numbers are getting lower with the obviously in this case the four brothers. In reality, it should have been an extra one, but they cut the whole character out and it's merged into one of the other ones. But as the numbers get lower to the point you just got one left standing, it is very heartbreaking, especially when the chemistry between them is really well done. Four actors play their parts perfectly, to the point of you feel like these are generally brothers, and it's when you start seeing them all dying, it is sad to watch. As, like, for example, Zac Efron's character, the one who's actually alive in real life, these characters alive in real life, obviously he's left to watch as his family is just crumbling away to this quote unquote curse. I say it's a really well crafted movie. It's just I can't go any higher because of the historical inaccuracies. I get the idea, you gotta over dramatize it, but for the fact that you're blatantly saying, oh, it's a true story, but then you're changing a lot of the actual true story and eradicating it for purposes of a movie, it's just it kind of niggles at the back of your mind, and that's why I can't go any higher than this. Number 9 then is going to be Abigail, which dropped in April 2024. Obviously, the next obviously big horror movie by, what's the director's names here? Matt Bettinelli-Olpey and Tyler Gillett. Obviously, the same two directors who did Ready or Not and the 5th and 6th Scream movie. So obviously, this is their, just like Ready or Not, it's their non-franchise related movie. Obviously, it kind of is to an extent because obviously it's based on obviously Dracula's daughter, I think it is. I think the movie is based on. So it's kind of like their own take on that old story, and it's obviously just like their other movies. There's a lot of fun in there. There's a lot of horror in there. There's a lot of gore in there, which is kind of what you want to see. It's got some really good performances from its leading stars, and there's some pretty decent deaths in it as well. Yeah, I don't know what else to say really. It's again, it's just like The Iron Claw in its own right. It's a well crafted movie. That I don't know why I'm not going higher with it. I probably could if I wanted to, but I feel like I'm just going to stick it at 9 for now. I feel like it's definitely probably my favourite, looking at this list, my favourite horror movie of the year. But I say I'm not going to go any higher than that. But then number 8 is going to be Argylle. I know it's controversial. A lot of people hated that movie. But if you watch the podcast I did early in 2024, you'll know how much I actually love that movie. So I'm not going to speak about it too much. It's just a movie that I watched twice now, and both times of watching it, I've obviously walked away going, that was fun. I don't get the massive hate regarding this. Yes, I know some dicey CGI at times, but a lot of good movies tend to have some dicey CGI at times. I mean, I say the Avengers movies, despite being excellent, sometimes you can look at some scenes and go, I'm looking at you, Hulk scene in Infinity War, the one scene we always go to. But yeah, I think it's a really fun movie. It's got a good cast, got a good plot. What else can you fucking ask for? So I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's one I've already spoken about this video. So number 7 is going to be Beetlejuice, and you'd think for the fact I'm wearing the shirt of it, well, at least the first one, you'd think I'd go higher, but I'm not. It's a movie that does well. It's nostalgic, it balances it really well with its obviously new plot. It's a good return for Tim Burton, following obviously his success with Wednesday, which is obviously why Jenna Ortega's in this movie. Obviously, it feels like the first one again. There's the humor's there, the dark tones there. Obviously, the only difference is the characters are older, and obviously there's a lot more modern effects helping this movie. Obviously, visually come together. That's the word I'm trying to think of. Then, so it's just a fun movie. Mog Keaton is excellent as he was in the first one. Beetlejuice is fucking hilarious, and obviously it did well enough to. I think they're considering a third one. If they don't, I think Hayden says they should call the third one Beetlejuice, Beale, which is obviously the. What's that from? Is it Family Guy or American Dad, something like that? I know that it's in one of those ones when they did that joke. But I'm guessing if they do a third one, they'll probably just call it Beetlejuice 3 times, which makes sense. It's his whole gimmick. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Is there flaws in it? Oh, absolutely. Most fucking movies have some sort of flaw in it. But I feel like the rest of the movie outweighs that one flaw enough to get through it. I mean, come on, it has a Danny DeVito cameo as like this really grotesque little man who fucking is very bigotry, but it's fine because it's Danny DeVito. But as I say, I think it's a pretty well cast movie. There's a lot of fun to this. It's a good back-to-back viewing if you want to watch the first one. I mean, I watched the first one like the day before, and that was, again, outstanding. Yes, this isn't as good, I don't think, but it's still a really fun follow-up. So number 6 is, again, another film I spoke about already on the podcast. I'm not going to speak too much. It's going to be Dune Part 2. Visual treat. To me, much better than the first one. I think I'd say I preferred it to Part 1. Obviously, the sandworm stuff is excellent. Timothée Chalamet is really good in it. The entire cast do a really good job with obviously bringing this source material to life. And obviously I'm yet to watch the series, the Dune Prophecy, I think it's called. I've yet to watch that. But I'm very much looking forward to part 3 whenever they decide to drop that, because this movie is definitely setting up part 3. And if it's as good as this one, well, that's a win-win, isn't it, really? So number 5 is going to be Paddington in Peru. Fucking love that movie. That one came out in November for us in the UK. I think that prison actually delayed to like February in like the US and places like that. But I had such a good time with this. I mean, I've had a good time with all 3 Paddington movies. I think they've all been funny. Second one's still the best, but I think this one's a really good follow-up to that one. It obviously takes the plot to obviously Peru this time instead of keeping it in London like they have with the last 2. And I'm all for that. I think that's a good idea. Swapping it up a bit. Obviously, the only downfall is obviously the recast of the mom character, but it's just what happens if you can't get the actress. Then you're gonna still that character's an integral part of the story, so you kind of have no choice but to recast. But there's a lot of really good supporting characters in this one now. So Antonio Banderas is here, Olivia Colman. I think they do a really good job. And again, I feel like if you enjoyed the first 2 Paddington movies, I don't see why you're not going to enjoy this one. I think it's a really good third movie. And again, I'm pretty certain they've already confirmed like a 4th one is like in development, and I'm all for that. These Paddington movies have been fucking really good. I still want to see Nicolas Cage pop up in one of them at one point, because that would make that the meta movie he did even more fucking meta, since he fucking loved Paddington 2. Imagine if he popped up in Paddington 4, that'd be excellent. Someone make that happen. That needs to happen. Him and Pedro Pascal need to pop up in Paddington 4. That needs to happen. So number 4 is going to be Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Absolutely love Fury Road. I thought that was really good. In terms of the Mad Max films, obviously I've seen all of them. First one was a decent start. Road Warrior was excellent. Thunderdome was crap. Fury Road was a great return to Road Warrior, obviously level of great. And I think this is another one. This completes a sort of little trilogy of actual excellent movies. And obviously this time without Mad Max being a centre focus, since it switches focus and goes, okay, what if we told an origin story for the Furiosa character? Okay, that's fine. She was a good character in the last one. Let's see how this goes. Really well cast with Anya Taylor-Joy. Great villain in it with Chris Hemsworth. They do a really good recast with, obviously, Immortal Joe, since obviously the actor passed away, so they couldn't use him. But they did a really good recast with him in this. And visually, again, it's a visual treat. George Miller knocks it out of the park once again. Hopefully, it won't be a massive long wait now for another Mad Max entry, because 2015, I think, was Fury Road. So fuck me, almost 10 years the wait between Fury Road and Furiosa. Hopefully, we get another one, and this time focused on Max a lot sooner, because it's a good franchise. Mad Max is a good franchise. I love the video game they did. So I'm hoping it's not a massive wait to finally get that sequel to Fury Road. Would it be Tom Hardy? Who knows? I'd like to see him do it again, because I enjoyed him in Fury Road. But if they get someone else who's a reasonable recast, I'll be fine with it. I mean, get the guy who voiced the game version. He did really good with that, so I think he did good with this as well. But still, I feel like it was a good follow-up, well, prequel technically to Fury Road, while also technically, it was just a straight up prequel, because all the elements were set before, and then technically the end credits sort of sequence set up into the start of when you saw Furiosa in Fury Road. So I think they did a really good job of doing that. I say it's really for the fact that obviously having to follow on from nailing it with Fury Road. I think they did a really good job nailing it once again with Furiosa. Then number 3 is going to be Sonic 3. That was such a fun movie. I mean, I had a bad experience in terms of watching it in the cinema, but I feel like the film itself was great. I love Keanu Reeves' Shadow. It was a really good cast. If just like Paddington, if you like the first 2 Sonic movies, I don't see why this is going to be any different. It's the same vibe. I feel like unlike Paddington movies or the Sonic movies, I think started okay. I didn't think it started great, but I think they definitely nailed it going on. Second and third one are great, and there's a really good setup now for a 4th one, which is already in development. I think 2027 is the release for that one. I think it is, or 2026. Pretty soon it's 2027. Or was it? I mean, it was one of them, but it was a good movie to drop out over Christmas. Obviously, you had that competition with Mufasa, and both of them did pretty well at the box office. Both did well audience reviews. Only Sonic did better critical reviews, but it's about time Sonic got a good review from the critics. They've been quite low so far, but it's about time they got a good one. I mean, Jim Carrey in this one, fucking perfection. He's so good in his dual role as both Robotniks. I'm hoping he comes back for a fourth one. But I'd be okay if he didn't, as long as obviously the rest of the movie was good. But then again, at the same time, I can't picture one of these movies without him. He's done 3 now, and he's been like the standout of all of them. So hopefully he comes back. Hopefully we get to see Jim Carrey for another outing as Dr. Eggman. And hopefully we get to the point of when he's finally looks a lot more like Eggman, because he's definitely getting to the fat side of it so far. With this one, he's definitely taking it a bit more extreme with a chubby belly. So maybe at some point we'll get the actual big, massive Robotnik. But still, visually great. Action is really good in it. Cast is, especially Jim Carrey and obviously Keanu Reeves, they're really well. They do a really good job in this. I mean, all the cast are good. So then number 2 is one that dropped over Christmas, which is the Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul movie. Movie I've been looking forward to for a while since they announced it. Big Wallace and Gromit fan. Loved all the old shorts. Fucking love the Were Rabbit. I mean, I did a whole review on it. Obviously, Matt on Life and Death was a decent movie. It wasn't a decent short, so it wasn't as good as a lot of the other ones in my opinion, but it was still good. But then this one dropped over Christmas, and it's just hilarious, especially for the fact that we haven't got the same voice actor for Wallace anymore. Obviously, the guy they bring in actually does a really good job trying to bring that character to life again. The story is fun. There's some characters they introduced that haven't been in it before that are really fun to watch. Obviously, they bring back Peter Kay as the police officer, and I'm regretting not nominating him for Best Animated Performance at the Golden Cave Awards because he's so fucking funny in this. There's a lot of really good jokes, and it proves once again that this obviously claymation does work. Yes, it takes so fucking long, but it works. And if you get the right people behind it, you're gonna get a fucking phenomenal movie or short. Depends on what you want to make out of it. And obviously, the creators of Wallace and Gromit once again knocked it out of the park. And I can't wait to see what they do next. Hopefully, another movie like this. I would love to see another Wallace and Gromit feature-length movie. I think that works better for me than the shorts. Yes, the shorts are good, but I feel like they get more content and a lot more story developed within these much more longer entries. Because the shorts, obviously, they kind of have to cram so much in. I think that's what screwed Matt on Life and Death for me. I feel like if that was like an hour long, they could have got a lot more in there, and that would have been another fucking solid one for me. But obviously, it's the problem with claymation and just any stop motion just takes so fucking long. So you kind of have to just work with what you've got. But again, for me, this is a really great animated feature, and it was a great way to fucking like round out 2024 for me. This was. And number 1 for me is straight up Deadpool and Wolverine. That movie, when it dropped in July, was so fucking perfect. Obviously, I've enjoyed all the Deadpool movies, just like I've enjoyed the Sonic movies, and just like I've enjoyed the Paddington trilogy. I've enjoyed every single Deadpool movie so far. For me, they've got better and better as they've gone along, and this one is, for me, the best one they've done. Obviously, just the whole thing about it, for the fact it's the first R-rated MCU movie, is great. Obviously, them bashing Disney a lot within this movie, despite being a Disney movie, is hilarious. Bringing Hugh Jackman back as a more comic accurate looking Wolverine in terms of outfit. I mean, there is the comic accurate look of Wolverine at one point, but that's a completely different. That's just a one-shot joke. I do a really good job with this, is balancing fan service and the actual movie, just like Spider-Man No Way Home did. It did a really good job of balancing the fan service with the actual new movie they're trying to make. Because I said, there's a lot of fan service in it in terms of using like actors from the past, using actors that never actually technically played a role. I'm looking at you, Channing Tatum, but obviously they were cast in it. Then, of course, using new characters that we've never seen before. So I think they did a really good job of balancing all that with this really heartfelt story of Wade trying to save his universe from being destroyed by the TVA, which I think that was using the TVA, especially for the fact that the last one ended with the time stuff, using the TVA as a way to bring Deadpool into the MCU was fucking perfect. I couldn't picture it any other way than bringing him into the MCU, apart from maybe just walking in and being like, oh, I'm here now. I think them using the TVA to tie him into the MCU more was great. As I said, action is really good. It's got a good score over the back of it. The humor, as always, perfect for Deadpool. I don't know what else I can say. Really, obviously, I could literally, just like I've done, like I mentioned with a couple of things, I could do a full fucking podcast on this movie, and I might at some point sit for the entire Deadpool movies again and speak about it, because Deadpool and Wolverine is just a great movie. It's easily, for me, the best movie that came out in 2024, and once again showed that this partnership between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds is fucking hilarious, and it's perfect, and we need another movie with these two front and center, whether it be another Deadpool and Wolverine outing or just another movie that you can stick these two as the main protagonists. I don't mind. Say get these two again, stick the same director behind it, and you're expecting perfection. So yeah, once again, I'll have a quick run through before I wrap up. So number 10, The Iron Claw. Number 9, Abigail. Number 8, Argyle. Number 7, Beetlejuice. Number 6, Doom Part 2. Number 5, Paddington Peru. Number 4, Furiosa, A Mad Max Saga. Number 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Number 2, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. And number 1, Deadpool and Wolverine. So yeah, obviously put your you don't have to put a ranking, but your favourite movies, TV shows, or video games, you can put them in the comments below. If any of the ones I've listed today are like in your top 10, let me know that as well. Obviously, you can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, etc., etc. You can also check it out on YouTube. Obviously, next week's episode originally was going to be finish off the Sony Spider-Man-less universe, which obviously was going to be Venom, but I've delayed that a week because next week I'm going to be covering Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, since I've just finished that. The last episode drops on Wednesday, so obviously 2 days before the podcast would go out, so I thought it's just an easier one for me to talk about straight off the back of finishing it. So obviously the Venom ones I pushed back a week, and then obviously they'll start going out over there. I've still just got to find something to cover for one day in February, so every other day I pretty much nailed in what I want to do. So I'll have to figure that out between now and then. Other than that, obviously don't forget you can check out the Suicide Squad Kill Justice League playthrough. I say that is still going on around this point. I say it wraps up on Wednesday before that review comes out. Obviously you can also check out all the one shots I did over Christmas. And obviously don't forget to check out if you haven't already, the most anticipated 2025 media podcast I did last week. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this another top 10 video on the podcast, and I do hope to see you next time. Goodbye. If you like what you've seen, don't be afraid to throw us a little like and subscribe. That's always very appreciated over here. And well, I'll see you on the next video.